All right, so here's the situation. A man has two sons, and he thinks to himself, I got a question for my sons. What is 5 times 5? And both of them excitedly answer 25. And the dad's like, good job. That's a good job. You got the right answer, but do you know how you got your answer? And the first kid answers, oh, that's easy. My math teacher told me that 5 times 5 is 25. The second kid thinks a little longer and he's like, well, I guess I figured it out. I realized 4 times 4 is just 4 plus 4 4 times. So I figured 5 times 5 must be 5 plus 5 5 times. So it must be 25. Now, the dad knows that both of his sons are correct, but which son do you think is wiser and why? Intro. Welcome, everybody, to the Wisdom Shorts podcast, your go to spot for down to earth, deep thinking, and where philosophy is made approachable. I am your host, Jet. This is my older, not big brother, Jejuan Plair. He is the host of CEO. I don't know why I'm calling you a host. You ain't running a podcast, but but yeah, Star Players Basketball. And so yeah, this story is coming from a book, Wisdom Shorts. This is book one. What I just read was story one. We're just kind of here to process the underneath part of the story. So anyway, man, what's your initial thought? Who's the wiser kid here and why, based on what you saw?
I see a lot of us in this situation. I mean, big brother, older brother. I don't want to get too much into that,
Yeah,
but
let's keep it professional, please. We're on a podcast. Jeez.
yeah. Anyway, it's when I look at that story, it feels like a trick question initially, like who's the smartest. I feel like I know who the smartest is, but I would say it's the person who's thinking about how do I get this answer? Why do I have this answer? It just expands his world to go and reach so many other answers beyond that. So I'd say the second brother.
Yeah. Yeah, nah, that's I'm glad you pointed that out too, because the thing about these wisdom shorts is they're supposed to seem painfully obvious, but they're such foundational concepts that if you don't take them seriously, you end up in much more complicated situations later. But this is the fundamental underlying issue of, yeah, why do you think that? And it's like, ah, my pastor told me, or my teacher told me, or the scientist told me. And so this is a good story to kind of bring that to the forefront of like, oh, why do I think that? Because happening to be right might not carry as much weight as knowing you're right, even if both people are right. So,
Right.
so yeah. No, I really like that. Do you think when it comes to this kid, does your opinion change at all if let's say that the first kid got the right answer because his teacher told him and the second kid said it's 27, but you still saw him kind of showing his work, he just got the wrong answer? Like what are your thoughts then?
Yeah, it goes with the quote of I know people are intelligent but aren't knowledgeable. And I know people who are knowledgeable but aren't intelligent. And
Mhm.
then people who who basically have both. Like or I know people who have both of those things, but they're not wise. And what wise people are people that can apply what they know.
Right.
And when you see the second brother, he's applying what he's learned and what he knows, which that concept is wise. Even if he didn't have the correct answer, that would be a wiser way about going in this situation. So
Mhm.
that's what I hear when you're saying it. When you compare the two brothers, is one's regurgitating and one is problem solving.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And I think you picked right too. I think happening to be right isn't better than at least being wrong and knowing how you got there. Because for one, nobody's going to be right about everything. So if you defaulted into what you actually believe, then it's a really, really big deal to know that like basically if you can be convinced of something without reasoning it out, then there's no amount of reasoning that can unconvince you of certain things. And so this gets dangerous in politics, religion, children, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think it really is a fundamental concept that yeah, I know it's drawn in comic book form, but it's definitely applicable to much larger and more important skills that I think are important when you're having dialogues with people and especially disagreements.
Yeah, and you should be learning along the way all the time. I mean, the reason children are gullible is because they don't have intellect or a ton of knowledge to compare things to. But once you start getting older and you start realizing that I need to start applying things that are coming at me as I grow, you become less gullible. People
Right.
can't take advantage of you. When you hear things, you do question it and see, hey, is this actually the truth? Or is this just a fact in this situation? And then once we move the situation, it becomes untrue. So it's like I said, that's what I like most about the book is that it forces me to exercise that muscle of thinking, and it
Mhm.
makes me start reflecting on why do I believe what I believe, even something that simple. And it makes it super important that I know to start applying that in areas much bigger than just 5 times 5.
Yeah, nah, super true. Definitely real. Dang, are there any closing thoughts for this one? I feel like it's a straightforward story for sure. But it
Yeah.
also has the most yeah, it's one of those things where straightforward isn't always bad. So,
I think you've mentioned it in the past, just in us talking about like just being able to read rooms and know where you are. Cultures are different. Hey, if you eat all your food, that's a good thing in this culture. If you leave food on the plate, then that's disrespectful. And so, like the people that know how to read rooms can fit in more of them. And so, when you reflect, you can fit in more rooms. You can deal with more people because you understand to look around, take in the information, and then use your wisdom to
yeah,
behave necessary.
to connect. Yeah, I'm glad you actually said that because that is definitely a thought. Even with this one is the skill that, like, right now we're talking about math and there is a wrong answer that is objectively true. And so it's one thing to be just wrong about something when there is a right answer. But then it's like if you don't have this skill down and then you try to go master cultures, like, because it's one thing to know how you think and how you got to an answer. It's another thing to understand how someone else thinks and how they get to the answer. There's no way you're figuring out the second one if you have not mastered the first one. So yeah, when it comes to meeting cultures in other places and reading rooms, you have to be able to think outside of just how your own clock ticks. And so yeah, this is the introduction to that. That honestly, that's probably going to be another wisdom short. So yeah,
What
because
you said kind of said something that made me think. You said, even if a math problem is wrong, if you have a way to get to that wrong answer and then somebody else explains it in the way that they're thinking in a more correct way, you can adopt that way of thinking, which just made you more intelligent. Now if you're wise
yeah,
and start applying it from then on is on you, but at least you can understand. But a lot of people who really don't have a ground zero from what they're thinking, it's tough to have conversations and convince them otherwise, because basically their only source is, oh well, granny always told me that. And
right.
so again, thinking allows you to be able to navigate rooms and continue conversations and put yourself in better positions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, nah, 100% agree with that. Honestly, you might have made me think of a second wisdom short that yeah, yeah. Subscribe, y'all, because these are gonna keep coming. Huh?
Yeah, every conversation is a wisdom short. Why did I say that? Why do I think that?
Yeah, no, it really is though, because I'm like, there's you know what? Nah, just I'll write the book later. But yeah, but no, yeah, grab the book off. Well, for one, you can grab it off Amazon for a much higher price. I would not recommend doing that. But on wisdomshorts.com, these are up for grabs at 12.99. So get this and the future series that'll be coming out if y'all just want to make critical thinking and approachable philosophy just a part of the everyday conversation. I don't know if y'all can tell, but we are two grown men enjoying this conversation. This is definitely something kids can grasp, but this isn't something that I think should be tossed aside just because it's colorful. So yeah, anyway, Glad y'all came through. I will see y'all in the next one. Make sure, hit like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and we will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.